all in this together. Make this world better.
Pursuing the ways to help people to perfect human cellular health, to make sure that all the way from the cellular to the organs to all the tissues, that your body is in optimum function. We often think of optimum health when a child is 2 or 3 years old. I have a 3-year-old on up to a 33-year-old. And when you observe a child and you see their play-like behavior and their purity and the quality of their skin and their health, you then look at a person who's 57 like myself, and you compare to other 57-year-olds and you wonder, what's the difference?
What happened?
And you wonder how I can compete against some of the world's strongest strength endurance athletes in the world, not over the age of 50, but over, in terms of the strongest men in history, not in single lifts, but in strength and endurance. And so there's a number of things that I do to put myself through to maintain optimum health. And to me, the definition of health is not just breathing. And some people take medications, they say, but I'm healthy. And I take blood pressure medications and heart medications, but I'm healthy. And I do notice you're a little overweight, but I'm healthy. And, you know, my energy's low, but I'm healthy. Are you really healthy? So, you know, the question is, how good can you be in terms of your adherence to a quality program? And that's part of unconditioned, unconscious mind programming, where you've been bombarded with thousands of commercials and things. So my goal is to help to unprogram and help you to see that there's a much better way to optimal health.
And with that.
In 1999, as Mark said, I was diagnosed with breast and cervical cancer, and the doctors wanted me to do surgery, chemo, and radiation, and I opted not to do that because my mother and several of my aunts on both sides had had breast, cervical, or uterine cancer, and they did surgery, chemo, and radiation, and their cancers either came back with a vengeance or they died from the treatments. So I went on a real journey then to discover something that would help my body to heal naturally. And I was introduced first to the work of Dr. Ann Wigmore and wheatgrass juice and energy soup and doing enemas and eating veggie kraut, none of which I had ever heard of before. However, I read the testimonies of other people and it sounded so amazing and it really resonated with me. I was born and raised in the South, so you know we're used to eating all of our food, everything fried, so it was quite different. But I got on this journey for the healing, and in 6 months I was completely cancer-free, and my doctors were quite amazed at that, and actually even began sending their own patients to my center in Atlanta. And I believe that the body was created to heal itself, and that we must help ourselves and others with their mental thinking, with their emotional healing, with stress and the management of it, with detoxification and cleansing of the body, and then optimal nutrition for that specific individual. And that if we support all of those areas, that the body will do what it was created to do, which is to heal itself. So over the years, I've seen a lot of people that have healed all kinds of diseases, so not just cancer, but diabetes and many heart disease and depression and so many other diseases can be healed in a natural way without using drugs. And rather than treating the symptom, we want to get inside and help the body so it can do its job, because the body knows what it needs to do. It just needs the right tools to be able to do that. So what turned out to be my health challenge at first ended up being a whole mission. So then I realized my reason for being on the planet, and that is to teach other people about wonderful raw and living foods. I'm glad to be here.
Well, I'm happy to stay on the planet. And Dr. Brian Cutler.
41 years ago, by good chance, I started on this path and have never looked back. And 1975, joined the staff of Hippocrates, which was then in Boston, and worked shoulder to shoulder with Dr. Ann, who was remarkable. And I was just mentioning that we're presently building a monument for her in the village she grew up in Lithuania. And later this year in September, we're literally going to have the government and people from all over Europe come and have a festival to honor her. 32 years ago, in 1980, I was asked to be the director at Hippocrates and have been since. And 25 years ago, we moved Hippocrates from Boston to West Palm Beach, Florida. We've had several 100,000 people come through the program over the years. And as director, I just required some things before I said yes. And one of them is that we would do clinical research on the guests so that we didn't just leave the legacy of, yes, we've had tens of thousands of people healed, but the reason it happens. And so we're well on our way to doing that. I'm involved constantly with looking at new areas of science, exploring ways that we can improve, not only focusing on raw food, but the technologies from mainstream and complementary healthcare that expedite the healing and recovery process for people. Because we are out to absolutely revolutionize the healthcare standards worldwide. I see it happening. This is the 9th country I've lectured in the last 3.5 weeks. This is the end of a 9-country tour. And I can promise you people that you're not the only people in the world. In Hamburg, Germany the other day, Geneva, Switzerland, London, England, Paris, France. Thousands and thousands of people are now changing and realizing they've got to take responsibility for their life. And people who are sitting on this panel, all of us sitting in this room, have the incredibly big and awesome responsibility to know what that next step will be so we don't make the mistakes we've made in the past. Thanks for being here.
And we're very lucky and very happy that he's finishing his tour here. Thank you. And Serba.
Welcome everybody. I'm also happy to see so many people here. My story goes back to also that area where Victoria's and Bigmore comes. We call our countries Baltic countries. I'm from Estonia, and then Latvia, Lithuania. It's beautiful, small Baltic countries. I was city girl, but our family always had on countryside organic farms. And even now, when winter comes to Estonia, we below Finland. It's basically very, very icy cold weather. Even in the winter time, I have my own mom growing spring onions on soil. And this is the way we grew up. We had every vegetable from our own garden, even now. And I know exactly what it means organic, because I am organic, have been all my life. When I went to university, I studied sport science, and I did research with doctors. And the research was very shocking. The research was 11, 13, 15 years old children. And the nutrition they needed to have every single day to have all their needs covered, only what they got out from their food, their everyday diet, was 3 to 5%. The gaps were so big, 95, 97% was just lacking. Big gaps in our nutrition. That's why we're kind of sleeping, and we are not aware what's going on. We have to wake up and take the responsibility of our own life. We can't do that with others. We can make changes in ourselves. Now I also lecture about all the superfoods, because my other love and hobby is to teach 11 Tibetan rites in the world to keep the body shape, and this vehicle extremely strong, to download this holistic esoteric part, to download all the higher frequency, because the body is sound, light, vibration, and energy. And also the food and this beautiful nutrition has certain frequency, and if we know how to if we are aware how we can run this body extremely high level frequency, if we know what to take in, then you are all winners. You are all winners. Yes.
And Dr. Robert Sword.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, people, for being here tonight. I would not be here tonight or on this planet if it wasn't for naturopathic medicine. In the 1940s, my medical doctors at the time, the team of medical doctors, said that we did everything that medical science can do. And that's like this. Fortunately, a friend of the family brought me to Dr. Bernard McFadden, who put me through a process of fasting, detoxification, raw foods, colon hydrotherapy. 10 years later, I stood on the victory platform with some of the strongest men on the planet to take first place in the Mr. North America contest. That was the incentive for me to make this a learning profession. This is not something that you just learn and that's it. You see people like Dr. Clemens, you see the people up here, Dr. Delgado, people who are constantly learning, and that's what you have to do, and this is what you have to do also, because we cannot put our hands.
We all in this together, make this world better.